Hello, team, and welcome to episode 37. Where in the world are you? I have a student, Mr. Gia, who will be traveling to Europe this week, and he asked for some practice. So let's do it. A lot of you are practicing, you're improving, you're learning some English just in case you travel, for when you travel. And, you want to feel as comfortable, as confident as possible. So let's see what we can do. We'll also be playing a little game inspired by Miss Carmen Sandiego. And if you have no idea who Carmen Sandiego is, congratulations, you are young. It is an old computer game that also became a television show that helped kids improve their geography skills. So let's see what we've got. Number one is a little video. I'm enjoying
Excuse me,
her
ma'am.
content.
I think you.
I like what she does here, where she highlights key expressions. They're short, they're objective, they're real situations, and she's funny. They're good to watch. But has this ever happened where you arrived on the plane and someone was in your seat? How was it resolved? Let me know. It's your first question of the day. Now, our practice. We will be talking about some stressful, possibly stressful travel situations. Maybe you're comfortable. Maybe you're good with all of these. But if there's a situation that is leaving you a little anxious, practice, because it will be easier when it happens. And number one, I think it's a classic, going through customs. Customs is immigration. It's another way to say it. But what happens is a lot of these customs officers, they're bored. And it seems like they're ruder than they are. And it's important for you to be able to present your information, pretty clearly. And clearly is the right word. Also, don't lie. If you lie about something silly, even if it's because you're a little bit nervous, they will notice and can get you in trouble. Unless they ask you if you packed your bags. Yes, you packed your bags. But practice. Why are you visiting the country? Is it for leisure or for business? Where will you be staying? How long will you be staying? All of that stuff. Number two, ordering food at a restaurant. Really common for somebody to order something and get something different than what they expected. So practice. Be comfortable asking for clarification. Could you explain the difference between A and B? May I ask a question? Doof. And I think it's an important one. How do you like your meat? Me personally, I like my meat rare, kind of red. If I go to a restaurant, I'll usually ask for medium rare because I don't trust them. But for example, Patricia, she likes her meat well done. And so I think it's important for you to be able to order your meat appropriately. Asking for recommendations. When you visit a city, what you see on Instagram, on TripAdvisor is different than what the natives do. Maybe you want that more local experience. So smile and be comfortable introducing yourself and asking for some recommendations. Hey, could you tell me about a restaurant that you like to go to? Where can I find the best bagel in New York? And these questions, I'm sure if you ask about people's opinions, they'll be happy to share with you. So it'll even make the trip better, both the wherever they recommend and the interaction. Checking into a hotel. Everything's fine, great. You might just have to say hi and bye. But if something goes wrong, you might need to be able to call the front desk to go and ask somebody to check on something in the room. The water is not working properly. The internet, you can't do this. You would like help with this. You want to know if you can change A or B. There's some mold in the room and your allergies are acting up. Whatever it is, practice before. Shopping. Sizes I know can be very different, but in New York, for example, we have taxes. I think clothes below, I want to say $100, you don't, but most things you have taxes, so it can be a little bit different. So know what the procedure is in the country or city you're going to. And you should be comfortable requesting help with the purchase. Almost every store has some type of salesperson, some type of attendant. I think a could you or a may I go a long way. Using public transportation, cell phones have made our lives easier, but sometimes it helps to ask so that you find the best, most efficient, and cost-effective way to reach a certain point. I really miss the subway in New York. We have a joke of a subway here in Belo Horizonte. It's not very useful, but knowing how to get from point A to point B can help you have a little money left over for your purchases on the last day. So you should be able to ask for information about this. In a taxi or a ride share, In this case, rideshare would be like an Uber. In this case, you should kind of know where you're going, because if they see you're a tourist, they might zigzag a little bit to raise that fare. So you should be able to confidently say where you're going, and I would recommend kind of following along on your phone. Attending social events. I spend so much time here in this square by myself in this apartment. I'm not great at small talk, but if you know that you're going to be traveling to a business event or going to any type of event really where you'll need to talk to other human beings, some light English practice where you practice your small talk goes a long way. Emergencies. We never want to go through one, but it's a moment of stress. Your English might just disappear at this moment. So think about possible emergencies, what you would do. How would you explain that you lost your phone, that you need help, that you need to reach a doctor, something like that? It's good to practice before. And last up, booking a tour. I know there's I know this happens in New York. Even though I don't live there anymore, I visit there in downtown. They have like these fake tours. You need to be careful, where they're just scams. They're just taking your money. So booking a tour, you're traveling, you want to see some cool places, but you also don't want to be robbed. Sometimes they'll be charging exorbitant prices that you should be avoiding. So know how to book a tour. Those are the 10 situations. Pick 3 that you feel might be uncomfortable and practice. I have a good one about this. Do you have any good stories about saying the wrong thing in English? My aunt, she was in New York, and we were in a store, and the attendant started talking to her, and she wanted to say, oh, no speak English. And then she turned to her confidently and said, no smoking, which is true. You could not smoke in the store, but it was also not what she wanted to say. Team, our interview workshop, stalling and directing questions. What is stalling? It's when you want a second or two to think. So when you're stalled, so that you can prepare a better answer. And I'm going to give you 3 techniques that you can use. All of them require the same thing, which is practice beforehand. But number 1, pause and paraphrase the question favorably. What does this mean? Maybe you are asked a question in an interview and you practice something that's similar. So can you tell me about a problem at your last job? And you say, oh, so what you're asking is about how I helped solve a problem at my last job. So just by adding a word or two that makes it sound more like what you practiced can help you out. Also, they'll confirm if that's actually what they're asking. So you don't need to say, sorry, I didn't understand, if that's the problem. Number 2, acknowledge positively and ask for permission. Team, I do this all the time when a student asks me a question that I don't know. If I don't know the answer, it's probably a good question. And so I'll just instantly say, that's a good question. So it's a great question. But when should you use this? Let's say you have a strong example prepared and you kind of want to go in depth. You want to tell a little bit of a story. So by saying, good question, the person feels good, and you get their permission. If you like a long or a short answer. You can even do this about asking for permission in a meeting if you want to give a longer answer and you feel people will be on their phone distracted. So great question. May I expand on this? All of a sudden, it shows confidence and it gives you room to say whatever it is that you want in the way you want, not whatever you want. Don't go crazy. Number 3, I always tell my students who are practicing for interviews, know what you want them to remember. So when you get this opportunity, when they ask you the question, as we'd say in Portuguese, when they roll the ball, or as we say in English, when they throw you a fast ball down the middle, that perfect question, highlight it because it'll help them remember it later. I'm glad you asked this because it's really important to me. I think this question is incredibly relevant. Boom, all of a sudden the person's like, what are they going to say? So when you feel that the question is a perfect one to highlight your skills, your abilities, go for it and let them know. All of these techniques, they require preparation. Don't start practicing for the interview the day before, unless it's for an interview you don't want. But in that case, you probably should not be doing it anyways. So also, don't use them more than once. If you repeat the same thing, all of a sudden they'll be noticing that. It's like when somebody has a mannerism that they repeat a lot. I try to avoid the ums, but I'm still guilty of it. you go through this video, you'll probably hear a bunch of ums while I'm thinking. Team, our talking point, your next trip. Who doesn't smile when they think about being on the beach, sipping a pina colada, and turning off their phones? So it's a great way to practice your English, get some smiles on those faces, and let me know where you'll be going. Team, last up, this is Miss Carmen Sandiego, for those of you who don't know her, but where in the world is she? Carmen Sandiego was an art thief, and I guess I think there's a new Carmen Sandiego. But she would steal something and she would leave clues about where she is. And let's see if you can guess it. This city's old name is the capital of a European country. Still don't know. See number 2. The streets in the more urban neighborhoods start from below First Street and go all the way up to the 200s. That is 2. It has been mentioned in songs by Neil Diamond, Jay-Z, and Frank Sinatra, among others. That's an easy one. The city was destroyed in the first Avengers movie, and John's favorite traditional food from the city is the bagel. Team, if you guessed New York, bonus point for you. But my students have also helped by making some other cities. The answers are at the bottom. If you're playing with somebody else, I would recommend you ask the questions, give the clues one at a time. Makes it a little bit more difficult. But you'll be looking for the 20 feathers of Araboya, and she's sent them all around the world. Can you find all 20? Team, thank you. That's it. Actually, that's it. No, it was a lot. But thank you for following along, and I hope to see you in class.